What's going on, guys? I guess it's safe to say it's Pablo week here. I decided to make another Pablo video. This is a do-it-yourself tutorial on how to make the Pablo denim that were not released last weekend at all the pop-up shops. Let's go ahead and get into this and I'll show you guys what to do. A few months back, Kanye had a few pop-up shops that released some denim that was retailing for $400. Today I'm going to teach you how to make that exact denim jacket kind of to a T for only about 30 to 35 bucks. The denim jacket I'm going to be using for this video is from Forever 21. It was $29. I'll try to link it down below if it is still available online. I picked it up locally. It's 30 bucks, very simple. I like the light denim. They also have some with some zippers, a little bit of distressing. This is just the one I'm going to be using for this video. I'm going to be using a fabric spray paint that is red. It is the Tulip Color Shot is one I picked up. It was $5.99 at Michael's. It should be online and I will link it down below if it is. Next thing you're going to need is a printout of this Pablo template that I created, and I'll be leaving a download link down below. When we get into the steps on how to cut it out, it gets a little bit complicated, but I'm going to show you all the steps to make it work. If you're curious, this is what the template's going to look like after all the cutting is done. The template size should be good for most jackets. I'm using a size large. I think it should be good for small, medium, and large. If you go any bigger, you might want to try to stretch it out if you can, but I tried to do the maximum limits on the paper that I could. Yes, it is completely free. I made this in Photoshop. You guys should be able to open it up and print it. I wanted to make it the size that could print on any printer because I didn't want to make it too big to where most people couldn't print it if they didn't have a household printer. For this, you can use any regular paper. This paper is a little bit thicker than I have. You also can trace it onto some cardboard to make it even easier. Last thing you're going to need to make life a lot easier is an X-Acto knife. This is going to make the cutting of the template 100 times easier than if you cut it out with scissors. I picked this one up from Target for like $3 to $5 I think it was, and I'll link it down below if I can. So before we get started on everything, you're just going to need to make sure that your denim jacket has no wrinkles or anything in it. As you can see on this one, it's a little bit different to where it has a line up here, so we're going to be putting the logo below that. All of the Pablo denim jackets that have come out have had 4 Pablo logos on the back, so you can use the template to use 2 and then the other 2 underneath. Some other materials you might need is some extra tape and a little bit of paper to cover the surrounding areas around the logo. How the paint works is you have to shake it for at least a minute when you get it, and then you're going to apply 1 coat at a time and let 5 minutes dry between each coat. Then you're going to let the whole thing dry for 30 minutes and then you're ready to go. If you ever want to wash the denim jacket, all you have to do is let it sit for 72 hours after you painted it and then wash it inside out. Alright, so now we're going to get into the stenciling. As you can see, I'm going to pull over here. This is the final complete stencil. I'm going to show you guys how to do the entire process. This is probably the most detailed part of the entire project because it gets a little bit finicky here. What you're going to need first is your X-Acto knife. You might need some scissors, and I have a pencil just in case you want to trace anything else onto another sheet of paper. We're gonna have to go letter by letter, and as you guys can see on the insides, there's a little bit of a disconnect. There's gonna be a part where you guys are gonna have to connect the inside of the letter to the outside of the paper, which is going to be very kind of difficult. It might take you a few tries. That's why we're working with paper here, because you can just print out another one if you need to. What I'm using to cut is a self-healing cutting mat, which might make your life a lot easier, but you also can use things such as like cardboard or the back of a notebook, which I did with my other template. We're gonna get started with the most simple letter of the whole process, which is the L, because there's nothing attached to it. This is really just something that you're gonna have to practice. It's something you might have to do a couple times. Luckily, we're working with paper like I said before, so it's not something that you can only do once and not mess up. So basically with the L, you're just gonna start and just kind of trace it out. Luckily with these X-Acto knives, they're very precise, so you can just go ahead and go for it. As you can see on the P here, we had to keep the center connected, so we're gonna have to do something different for that just to make sure that that stays connected. So in the cutting process, I'm gonna now get into how you kind of do that and how to make sure you don't really mess it up. So what you're gonna do first is, since you're cutting out the inside of this, you're gonna make 2 small cuts parallel to each other. And then you're immediately gonna go into cutting the center out, just so you don't forget that step of the process. Then you're gonna cut here, and then make sure you gently disconnect all of the sides just so it stays intact. So there we go, the center is now disconnected. So all you have to do now is go around and trace the whole outside, but do not cut this part right here. You have to make sure that this part stays connected. Once you get to the end here, just make sure you do not cut. I'm just going to show you which cuts to make for which letter. I'm not going to go into detail with the shots and showing you what to do. I'm just going to show you the cuts, and then we're going to take it to a time lapse to show you me repeating the whole process. What you're gonna do is just, for the A, you can really do this wherever you want to. Just kind of make it in the center here. And then again, repeat the whole process where you cut the inside, and then you're gonna cut the outside and make sure it stays connected. All right, for the B, you're just gonna do the exact same thing. I would make the cuts right here on the thick part, at the top and the bottom. You have 2 different ones for this, so you're gonna have to do it twice. Again, this is the most tedious process, and it's just gonna take time. You just gotta be patient with it. Once you make those cuts, loop around again, and then do the whole outside, and you'll be good to go. And then lastly, for the O, you're in the home stretch, just gotta make small cuts. I did it on this side, you can do it wherever. This was just easy for me. I made it a little bit thicker so it doesn't break on me. Again, repeat the process, run the inside, run the outside, and you'll be good to go. If you guys mess up a few times, I know it's gonna happen, just take this L and start over. Alright, so as you can see, now we have the top one done. All you have to do is repeat the process for the bottom. When it comes to spraying, this might be an issue where they're sticking up. So what I did in that situation was I just put a notebook on top and let it sit for a good 10 to 20 minutes just to get a little bit of weight on it, so it'll keep it down. And after that, you should be good to go. Once you get that done, we're gonna move on to the next step of the process, which is actually spraying it onto the jacket itself. Next step of the process is actually painting the jacket. I'm inside right now. I would not recommend that. I would recommend doing it outside, but the audio would be really bad outside. So if you're gonna do it inside, just do it in a really well ventilated area because we are dealing with paint here. For the jacket, I'm gonna wrap it up with this cutting board that we had before, just so that the back is gonna be as flat as it can be, and it can just be no wrinkles in it. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm kind of wrapping it up so you get the full idea of the back, and it kind of gives it a little bit of a back plate to stay on. Now I'm gonna line up the template. Since there only is 2 parts of the logo there, you're gonna have to repeat this process down below. You're gonna wanna make sure that you have enough room on the top and the bottom to spray the entire back with the 4 different logos. I'm gonna go ahead and start taping everything off, and so we can go ahead and get into the actual painting. All right, so now I'm just gonna tape off the top and make it sure it stays in place. Time to start the spraying process. You're just gonna do light coats. Make sure you're watching where you're spraying. Hold it about 6 to 8 inches back and just do light coats. Don't overspray from the start. Let that sit for 5 minutes now and then continue afterwards. Alright guys, it's been 30 minutes, it's done drying. You can make the coats as thick as you want. You can make the red darker, you can make it lighter. I'm just going with this for now because I wanted to save time with filming. I do want to let you guys know that my bees got a little bit messed up under the second one because I didn't let them fall down far enough before I started painting. So just take caution with that. Either way, it's still going to come out good. Now we're going to move on to moving it down to go to step 2 and making sure that we kind of finalize it and then get the last 2 done. So now I'm just lining up for the second part, making sure that everything is gonna be correct and kind of perfectly lined up as it goes down. Make sure I have a good enough gap between the 2. Pull this up more. I think that'll be good. Now I'm gonna continue and start spraying and finalize. Now I'm going to show you guys how to fill the small little marks that are left, the holes that are left from the stencil. You just kind of take 2 pieces of paper and tape them together and make a small little sliver. You're just going to put it on top of it and then kind of spray over that. I'll show you guys closer up right now. Basically that's it. There's just a small little gap here that you're going to use to put over where the spray was left out and then kind of spray that in. that's gonna wrap up the video right there, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy this little bit of a Pablo week. If you did, please smash that thumbs up button and leave a comment down below if you got a chance to do it. Again, I hope you guys did enjoy. Subscribe here if you are new. I post a video every single Sunday and every single Thursday, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Harrison signing out.
That girl is a real crowd.